I invite you into your interior castle, into the development of a consciousness of an interior castle. This concept, this wording comes from Teresa of Avila, who was a mystic and a saint long time ago. But she was a grand thinker. And so I invite you to sit now in your meditation. Place your feet on the ground. Learn how to sit upright, to align yourself. You are to build physically this alignment, spirit to body. And then this horizontal line, this horizontal line is where you carry your life, where you bring here on the shoulders the burdens, the concerns, but here in your interior heart self, you carry the emotions of this moment. So I invite you to be aware of the invitation from Spirit to turn over these things to Spirit. Visualize that we are a circle, and in the midst of the circle is this powerful sacred space that is created by us coming together. And we are putting those things that we carry emotionally, mentally, in whatever way we place it on the altar of this wonderful, powerful light, circle, sacred self. Use your breath to do this. Take a deep breath, and in your exhalation, let it be the offering. The word today in the daily word is compassion. And it said something that to me has always been a guiding light, and that is in all experiences of pastoral care or counseling, where two people sit together, there's an acknowledgement of that third presence, that between us. And often what the individual brings to the counseling or to, let's say, is in a hospital, in need of great healing. What can the minister say? You ask yourself, what can I say in the presence of somebody in great need? And it says in the daily word, compassion can be simply your presence, your willingness to be present to the other without many words. You might not even have words, but to acknowledge that your presence, conscious, focused, loving presence, is compassion. This is the gift today. And we fill our cup with compassion. A kind of compassion that goes way beyond thinking that we need to hand out money or food or big words. Compassion that rests in your willingness to be present. And right now, your willingness to be present to the sacredness of our time together allows the fellowship, allows the sacredness of our togetherness to be powerful, to be far beyond our individual power. So with all these things said, let's take a moment to just breathe in the beauty, the compassion, and the fellowship. Your link in the fellowship is precious, and yet you're also invited to be aware of the gifts of this morning. Spirit has, and I really believe that, whenever we meet with the discipline of irregularity, Spirit is also preparing a gift for each and every one. Your own spirit, your own connecting link to divine mind, your spirit has prepared a gift for you and is placing that into the palm of your hand. You are dear and you are treasured and you are gifted right now. Compassion is the word this morning. Compassion for yourself, compassion for those whom you pray. Let compassion ring out from the fullness of our time together to all who we have promised to pray for all in our individual circles. Let compassion ring out. And I'm using the word ring out because I am hearing bells as the word compassion goes out. I'm hearing bells ringing, vibrating out. I greet each one that I'm thinking of. I greet each one in the spirit of compassion. I see compassion also vibrating and flowing out across the city, across the globe, the state, the country, flowing out, flowing out. And whenever we have the gift from Spirit, individually but also collectively, the gift is very, very powerful. And the gift that you got this morning, be that you are particularly aware of what it was like, what you got, doesn't matter, you got a gift. And it's individualized for you right now of what you have need of. So just take a deep breath and say, I'm willing to accept my gift. I'm willing to let my whole being radiate delight in the gift. Thank you, God, for our togetherness and our collective fellowship that is Unity Center, that is Unity Center of Montreal. So I'll bring you back. Move your feet a bit. Wiggle your toes and move your body. Open your eyes softly, gently. Coming back. Coming back. I'm continuing under the umbrella of Mysticism Revisited. And today I want to talk about one of the 12 powers that we have in Unity that we call the 12 powers. And this one is called understanding. We have Thomas, the disciple, to represent this power of understanding. And we take the word, it's a play on the word understanding. It's standing under. I find one of the challenges right now is the misinformation that are bombarding us. Misinformation or confusing information or contradictory information. It's just like a gluttony of information plus a gluttony of distractions. And so I just want to bring in a couple of things Jesus said and Fillmore said, because understanding the standing under is to get grounded, to understand, to stand under what is standing under the knowledge or the realization or the whatever we are thinking. And that's the foundation, that is truth. The story about Gandhi, it's interesting that I keep bringing Gandhi into my talks, is that in the beginning of his activities, he talked a lot about God. But then he started to change. He started to talk about truth more. And he gathered his people every day to read the Bhagavad Gita and to meditate. He felt that truth was essential if he was going to talk about human law, if he was going to go speak to government, so if he was going to, whatever he was going to address, he wanted to be grounded in truth. And the way he felt to be grounded in truth was through reading the Bhagavad Gita, but most of all to gather his people in meditation. And Fillmore says, we can either go blindly forward and learn by all the hard knock experiences, or we can have understanding by tuning into the presence of spirit within. It's not easy. I find with the misinformation, or even yesterday, I was in my own world living very mindful of social distancing, of wearing the mask when I walk the dogs, of washing my hands whenever I come into the house, etc. But then we were driving down to the coast. And the coast was absolutely packed with cars and people on the beach, celebrating, having a good time, you know. to me, that was like one of this discrepancies, one of this disjointedness between, yes, of course, I am of a certain age, and maybe the people on the beach were all 20 and 25, but I don't believe so. They felt it was time to party and to celebrate and to be out. But anyway, it's that and the distraction, the disinformation or the disconnect in the information pipeline, and the amount of distraction. Because as we are more in our homes, we are more in our houses, we are more, activities that were normal are cut off, or we're not traveling, like people are not traveling. They're reaching for distraction to the internet. And it's so easy. Apple has seen an absolute boom in their sales because people are buying all the gadgets in the world. So when Fillmore says the importance, if you can go either through the, which most of us do, not to, of course, is we can learn through the hard knocks of experience. We get to a certain point in our life where we think, oh my God, I've had this lesson before. I thought I had overcome it. I thought I was done with this lesson, and it's coming back. Or we can, as Fillmore says, is to ground ourselves in the present, in the teaching that we are spiritual being and that we have divine mind access. Divine mind is the concept in unity that really represents the collective divine presence. And the idea is in unity that we, through our rightful thinking, grounded thinking, we have access to divine mind. Now let me tell you a couple of things that come from Jesus. I'm trying to tell you about the importance of being firmly grounded in truth. And I don't mean always doing the same thing or the same affirmation. I mean, if I could give you one thing from this period of COVID-19, is that you fall in love. Fall in love, meaning that you want to do, not just that you had to do. Fall in love with the silence. No music, no words, the silence, the sitting quietly, the ability to tolerate 5 minutes of really sitting with your spirit. Maybe you just do it for 2 minutes, but that would be my ultimate desire. If I could get you to where you feel the sweetness, Rosemary always said it was like a sweet aroma to be in the present. At some point, sitting and silent became infused with something very, very delicate and very, very loving. And it was drawing him. He started to feel the conversation, the aliveness with the silence. And it had fullness and richness. And he didn't need the books anymore. Not for those 5 minutes or the 2 minutes. So let me say a few things about Jesus, just to remind us. Yeah, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, again, we're calling the silence going to the secret place of the Most High. That's the metaphysical wording. Jesus said he's going into your closet and praying to the Father in secret, so that the Father who sees you in secret may reward you. May reward you openly with what Jesus was talking about, was the principle of getting in touch. And then there is another one. Of course, Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you. Even 2,000 years ago. Not in the sky, within you. And then Paul in Corinthians said, and this is what I would like to really have you listen and hear. Do you not know that you are the temple of the Holy Spirit? Your body is not your own. You are the temple of the Holy Spirit. You are the temple of the Holy Spirit. The presence of God is living within you. Within you means within the sphere of who you are in this life. That means all that is your curriculum, all your relationships, all that you are wanting to do, are doing, all the challenges, all that you're carrying on your shoulders, in your heart. That's you. But in this line of what Paul says and what Jesus said, he brings it home to you. You are the temple of the living God. I believe it's an incredibly difficult belief and understanding for us humans that it's, even if our body is frail, or our body is going through illness, or our body is aging, whatever, that it is through the physical sphere of my life that I connect, that I have to connect to Spirit, to the Almighty, to Divine Mind. It's never outside of what is exactly at the moment on your plate. It's through there. It's not it, but through there. So whatever is up for you, that's the crack in the wall where the light comes in. And that is understanding. That is standing under the realization that, yes, I have this situation, but under it is my foundation. And I am not to change what's up here. I'm to see this, that this is how the light will come through. It is meant to come through. That there's really, finally, as the Course in Miracles says, nothing wrong with your life. There's nothing wrong. It all is. But that's a hard one when you're in the middle of something that's really going on, that's really troubling or scary. Especially when we're dealing with fear. Fear is such a terror. It just clams us down. But even if there is fear, that's another crack to let the light in. Unfortunately, through what's going on with this tons of information and also with the distraction, we cut ourselves off. We think because we're listening to somebody giving a sermon or giving a talk that we are connected. You know, that whatever we are doing here, it needs to be followed up. It needs to be followed up by you coming to the noon meditation. It needs to be followed up with the experiment of sitting in silence. It's not, yes, it's a very, very uplifting to be inspired, and there's an immense amount of material that is available now. Everybody's Zooming, everybody's uploading. And it's one of the the great gifts that right now with this idea that we're going to invite speakers. And they're willing. Next Sunday we have Scott Sherman, which will be really, really powerful. And I pray to God that we have a good showing of people. Are you hearing me? Well, let me get back to where I want to leave this off with us. So we had Jesus, we have Paul, we have Fillmore. You know, Fillmore was really, really clear. We are all joined. In that sense, we are all together. We are all joined by divine mind, the mind of God. We've been, as a practical tool, introducing the idea of needing to be multi-sensory beings now. This is one of the things that, of course, this technology enforces on us. That we're suddenly together on a screen instead of in real person. And that we're starting to practice feeling each other's presence. That there, you know, there's people on the screen right here. And you could say, touch, feel their energy. You could smile at them. At some point, you are going to feel Wilma next to you. Or you're going to feel Pauline. You know, you're going to feel Yasna. That's right. You're going to feel each other. And that's called becoming extrasensory being. Instead of just having the five senses, you're starting to have sensors that go and trump time and space. That sensor, that ability to feel Claire, to feel Anita, to feel each other, that's a jump in time and space. You're at a different time schedule right now than I am, for example. You're probably, I don't know, 6,000 miles away from each other, right? That's jumping time. You, in this way, are meant to be able to go beyond time and space. You're jumping to another dimension, and you're learning to do that. And it's teaching you that you are a body, but then there surrounding you is this energy field. I'll share with you as a closing something that Gloria sent me, and it was, I think, in response to something that I had spoken of, and it is about one of my favorite words, and I don't have it now. That's really good. Well, I will share it with you next time. Oh, yes, I do have it. So thank you, Gloria, for sending this to me. This comes from a different organization than Unity, but it is about surrender, which I use a lot. And people often say to me that they don't like the word because it feels like giving up. And she says, surrendering is not at all weakness. What if you knew that by surrendering all meaning, you are allowing in a force that is all powerful to guide you, lead you, and show you the way? What if in giving things no meaning, you were picked up by the strongest current and carried to a place of peace? What does it mean to surrender? What does it mean to surrender? She says in her writing, it means to surrender all meaning. all interpretation, all judgment, and allowing in a force that is all powerful to guide you and lead you and show you the way. So when I close now with something from my favorite poet, I'm speaking to you not as a eternal being, but I'm speaking to you as a temporal human being. Something to hopefully be a comfort, words, poetic words. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. The kettle is singing, even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. All the birds and creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything is waiting for you. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation of the silence waiting for you. So let's take 1 minute where I stop talking and you stop looking outside of yourself, and you just sit, and I just sit. An invitation to start the conversation with the silence. Jim Freeman, our poet in Unity, had a poem that I only remember some part of it, but it was, "Who am I when I am not my name, when I am not my title, when I'm not my nationality, when I'm not my bank account, when I'm not my story, who am I?" That's the part that is inviting you into the silence.